How's it going, guys? I'm Mike. If you catch me in game or in one of my socials, I go by Hawk. So today's video is just a little bit different. I am showing you some footage from a match that I did earlier, and in this run, the material was extremely scarce, which is usually pretty rare on Challenge Rating 5. Usually loot drops are sufficient enough to keep you topped off, but that was not the way that this played out. In fact, the most amount of material I ever had in my reserves was 90, and that was at the very final jump. So in this area, this was one of the earlier jumps. This was one of the on-foot sections that I did. And as you can see, when I started, I only had 10 materia coming into this area. And that's enough for one revive. It takes 10 materia for Buddy to revive you. So I did scrounge around for as much as I could find on the floor, all the little scraps. And I did manage to get enough that I was able to get 2 revives worth. And that came in handy because I did eat 2 downs in this area. Spawns were interesting, and I made a few mistakes. But I'm just going to walk you guys through my thought process here, what I was thinking as I was doing it, why I'm doing it, and I'll talk about the mistakes I made and what I think could have been done differently. But this is kind of my thought process when I'm going through one of these areas, the tactical thought process I'm cycling through, and where I think I should be putting things, where I think I should be holding out, etc. So right now, as you can see, I'm still looking for all the materia. I know, generally speaking, where it is in this area. This is not one of our new sectors. This one's probably one you guys have seen before. I'm pretty familiar with where everything is, where the materia is to be found, and where the weapons will typically be. So I'm checking all those places really quick, and then I'll show you guys where I get set up. So now I'm going to come into here, and this is kind of my little hidey hole. I like to set up in this area in this one, and I recommend that before you start the mission proper and get the baddies spawning in, especially if you're unfamiliar with a new area, check it out beforehand, see where it's going to be a safe place to fall back to. Generally speaking, you can tell where the baddies are going to spawn from. You can see doors where they might come out, etc. And so try to set yourself up a position where you can fall back and be safe, where they're not going to be spawning in on top of you. I put down that on-foot ammo crate there. This is a pretty safe place for you to fall back and resupply. Having an on-foot ammo crate is really helpful when you're using ranged weapons, particularly if you're using something that's ammo-hungry like the javelin. I usually bring one in with me. They only cost 10 materia to craft, so usually it's not a big deal to bring them with. Something you're going to see me doing here is using the heat blade a lot, because you see I'm running a Mark II javelin and I have a heat blade at my disposal. To conserve ammo and to deal with things up close and kind of stun lock them and prevent them from doing any unnecessary damage, I will be using the heat blade as much as I can help. As you see there, I had javelin in hand. I chose to go for the whack with the javelin butt rather than take the time to whip out the heat blade. After I stunned him with the initial melee, I did swap, and there you could see me doing something that I have recommended doing with the Maul, for instance, and that's waiting behind cover for the enemies to come to you. Works just as effectively with the melee weapons. If you wait for them to come to you, they can't actively shoot you while you're in cover. They will be coming after you, and then once they get close, let them have it. Nice thing about the melee weapons too is that they actually tend to stun lock things, so if you stay behind cover, they can't hit you, and then when they get there, they still can't hit you. As you can see here, I chose to hang out in the radioactive area behind the stairwell there. The thing with the radioactive, the radiation effect, is that it doesn't do any damage to you until it's completely full. Once it's completely full, it's an instant kill, but until then, it does nothing. So sitting there where it was safe from being shot at, it was okay, even though it was a radioactive area, because I knew they would stop shooting long before the radiation took me out, and then I'd be able to move on. If I had gone immediately, I would have taken a bunch of extra damage by being shot because I was no longer behind cover. So most of these bots, they don't continuously shoot. They usually have a wind up, then they shoot, then there's a cooldown, wind up, and then they shoot again. So wait to come out from behind cover when that wind up is once they finish shooting and they're in their cooldown. Now I'm coming over to this area because there is an energy conduit that I have to do, and honestly you want to get those as fast as possible in order to prevent enemies from spawning if you can help it, because the sooner you get it done, the sooner the progress bar will finish and the sooner they'll stop spawning. But as you can see, I got overrun there and I just had to fall back. That is not really a safe place to be. I don't consider it to be. The only reason I was out there was because the energy conduit needed to be managed. That is one of the spawn points, especially that balcony right there. They can spawn right there and then drop right on your head. So what I'm doing here, it's not safe. Your back is right to where they're going to be coming from. As you can see, it happens here. This laser drone starts hitting me, and there's really not much I can do. Maybe I could have jumped down into the radioactive zone and tried to break his line of sight. Might have worked, but there was a high probability I would have gone down anyway because there were a bunch of flyers overhead that would have been shooting me anyway. So I don't know that it would have worked, but I do consider that a mistake. It would have been worth a try to break his line of sight, but obviously I didn't think of that while I was actively trying to run for my life. So remember that these guys, they've got to have line of sight on you. If they don't have line of sight, they can't hit you. That includes the laser drones and pretty much anything that's not firing rockets and radiation at you. Now at this point, there is that break there, but I'm trying to clear some of the enemies away so I'm not getting shot. And as more just keep spawning in, such as the spider tank right beside me, I ultimately choose to just try and rush the energy conduit. Unfortunately, all of those radioactive grenades kind of clustered right there, so I was taking tons of radioactive damage very quickly, or rather the bar was building up very quickly, much quicker than I was anticipating, and so I went down quite quickly there. That was a bit of a mistake. Probably would have been better to fall back and reattempt later, but it was what it was, and I ate my second down there. Now at this point, I can't really afford to go down again, so while I don't completely avoid taking risks, as I do feel like you have to take some to be effective in this game, I'm trying to play as safe as possible. You'll see that I didn't bother even scoping when I hit that walker there. I just fired from a no-scope. My goal there wasn't to take him out, it was to prevent him from shooting at me. True, I had all those up above that were shooting at me, but I was trying to limit as much fire as possible. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't consider this a safe position. I don't want to be here. I'm trying to get out, but there are things that can easily drop me if I move, so I had no choice but to try and get out when it was possible. Now at this point, the enemy should stop spawning. I've just got to clear a path to the door. The progress bar is done. So now I've just got to deal with the things that will prevent me from being able to access that door. And you'll see I'm actually starting to play it reasonably safe at this point. I'm not chasing things down and trying to use my heat blade or trying to take the fight to them. I'm trying to stay back if I can help it and use my javelin because honestly, I don't want to take any more damage than I absolutely have to. I'm at 5 HP right here. It wouldn't take much to drop me, and I don't have the material to get back up. Now at this point, I could just move on. The door is open, but I know this ammo box is back here. I'd kind of like to top off my javelin before I move on from this sector, especially given the fact that material was in such short supply. It would seem pointless to waste the resources. And so I do go ahead and clear everything out and come back and top off. One of the nice things about this area too is that it's got a med bay with 4 free uses back in here, back in the loot room. So if you have a crew of 4, you'll all be able to completely top off your health. And knowing that, I knew I'd be able to fully heal once I got back here. But basically, guys, that is the way that I approach most challenge rating 5 missions, particularly in solo. When you're going to be playing in multiplayer, your tactics are going to need to adjust, and of course, artifacts are going to adjust the way you play as well. I didn't have any artifacts at this point, so really everything you were seeing there is just raw gameplay. Base damage, nothing enhanced. And as you can see, I picked up a few artifacts here, but that is basically how I approach that area, and how I'll approach most areas that have on-foot combat. At any rate, guys, I hope that that's helpful to you. I hope that you're having a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.